Welcome in the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the 10th of July, 2024. And in lieu of big announcements, a little announcement. We'll get a little announcement. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday in the game of Upland. On Wednesdays in the game of Upland, there is the stream. I'm glad to see it keep on going. I'm glad it's back. It came back a number of weeks ago. And every week, it's kind of been an opportunity and a space for both. Oh, there he is. Yes, there he is, Cheese. It's been an opportunity and a space for promotion of Layer 2. Every single one has been a promotion of a Layer 2 project. Good to see you, Trees. And that promotion of a Layer 2 project has given up people the opportunity or extended the opportunity to the community to see a Layer 2 that they may or may not have seen. Maybe they haven't played it yet. They can see it in more of a direct way, and it's an encouragement for people to get in and get involved in those games. Sometimes if you're trying to get 3 or 4 people to go and do Track Hero, maybe you can't, but when Upland is doing the stream and Light It Up Dan says, okay, we're going to jump in and do a race right now, those are going to be full. There's going to be people who are going to jump in there, going to fill those races out. So I'm glad it's something that Upland's back to. I'm glad it's happening. That's it. That's all we got for official announcements today. And not that it was a big official announcement, but it's just a reminder that these happen every Wednesday, and it did happen. But it is time, and I think that there is still some hesitancy for a lot of people on, they're taking the 5 minutes. And I say 5 minutes because it's 5 minutes, maybe 10, and putting together your thoughts about putting together a Metaventure. There's some art requirements, but they're not that difficult. Welcome to the world of AI. It's not that difficult to come up with art. Maybe you work with somebody in the game of Upland. Maybe you have a friend who's an artist. Maybe you want them to go and make you bespoke one-of-one art. Maybe you have the skills yourself and you're going to put it to work in. Or magic AI and a little bit of the right prompts, and you could have yourself the background images for your Metaventure shop. We'll get into the specifics of what you do, how you do it, and what it actually looks like to start your own Metaventure in the game of Upland. Again, walking through the steps. I'm not going to actually apply for a Metaventure tonight live, so we'll have to skip along the way. But we'll get into a couple different things with a couple different Metaventures, what to know, what to think, what to consider as you go and try to look at these different types of Metaventures, what you need to be prepared for if you were trying to start your new Metaventure in the game of Upland, and some realities with what's going on in the Metaventure market, what you could do, some of the reasons why to open one. And as Tree says, I've been waiting to open one. A lot of people in that position. They've been thinking, when's the right time? How do I do it? Ooh, I'm going to do it next week. Maybe there's a big sale or some reason why it makes sense to get my map asset at a certain time. Maybe I want to increase my art skill. Maybe I want to build my own map assets, but I'm not quite ready to do so. I understand that. And reality is it's not that hard to get started. There's plenty of reasons. We'll get into all of those why you might want a Metaventure just to have that Metaventure. But to get there, we got to get through the disclaimer, because this is one of those things where I don't want people to put 20 hours into building a Metaventure and feel, I was mistaken or I was misled. Simply up front, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. They shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They're not meant as that. They're information for hopefully your benefit, but this is not how you have to play Upland. It's a way of playing Upland. All the views and opinions obviously don't represent the game of the team of Upland. Anybody who does call on as a guest, welcome to their own opinions. I'm glad they have them. I'm glad they can share them. They are not my own necessarily, or the Cafe Nightly shows. They don't represent the game of the team of Upland. They shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. Easy. Let's just look at that announcement. Why not? The announcement in the game of Upland, just to say, hey, we're having our Wednesday stream. It's nice to see it. The cool thing about the Wednesday stream is they're being put out on these platforms, and a lot of these platforms automatically have a recording. So if you don't get to be there live and you want to see that Layer 2 that they interact with, that gamified space, in this case, it's actually a Layer 1 Track Hero. If you want to see what that looks like, the actual play, the actual competition, you can go and see the recorded. So it's definitely worth seeing that exists, and to see that the video's there, and see that you can watch it yourself at your own leisure. We're not going to watch it all tonight. No, that would be an hour I don't necessarily have. We could be talking about something else. So Track Hero was the live stream today. Live stream, live stream. Join us as we check out the fantastic Track Hero, run a few rounds, and hang out with the community. This is something being done by Light Up Dan. Light Up Dan's back doing these streams, and these streams are working quite well. Again, people are enjoying them. People are able to get on there. And again, the big thing is the way these are done, the way these are highlighting layer 2 games. Might be your opportunity. If you have only watched the promotional stuff and someone talking about their own project, and maybe you saw a hackathon entry, or maybe you saw a 3-minute clip that was a promo, this is your opportunity to see what live gameplay actually looks like. So jump in, take a look, watch it record if you want to. If you go and look at live updates, there is the link that at one point was live, but now is just a recorded link. Allah, Rodrigo, good to see you. I'm glad you're here, my friend. And again, with that Track Hero, we do know that the competition with staking is now there, with stakes is now there. We continue to see that this 3D space with the gamified element, with the competition inside a 3D space, continues to evolve. There will be added features here in the future, but potential leaderboards and Upland's talked about tournaments built in there. There being shop space inside of Lucille Stadium, the virtual Lucille Stadium at some point. This is exciting. This is exciting to see this continue to develop. Looking forward to that continuing to be the case. Shelve that. This is like the third time that Track Hero has been featured by the live stream. I'm looking forward to continue being featured. But if we have another layer 2, looking forward to seeing that pop up as well. And then we're going to go right on over to Upland. And I might have to do something quick, handy dandy, because I know that I'm in a position that I may have to go here and do 2-factor authentication. It does happen. It happens to the best of us. I happen to be in the city right now, the city of Los Angeles, so I'm going to have to go travel in Los Angeles. The first part, and Los Angeles happens to have 2, but the first part of applying for a Metaventure is I have to identify and locate the city hall, the town hall. And here it is. Look at that. Here's the city hall in Los Angeles. Again, keep in mind there are technically 2, and that's because the city of Los Angeles was broken up into multiple cities technically, so there's technically a second down here, City Hall. I'm going to go to the main City Hall because I'm actually closer to it right now, and I own properties in the area. Here's the main City Hall here in Los Angeles, and if I were to go and try to apply, I'm going to see, go to City Hall. You must be at City Hall in order to apply for your Metaventure. Go to City Hall. And as I confirm, I'm going to have to come do this. I knew it. Secret time. Good news is this is a code that was going to work exactly once, so you knowing it means absolutely nothing for the next time around. Let's take a look at the 2-factor authentication. Eeny, meeny, miny. Thank you, SMS. I used to, and I was running for the longest time, the 2-factor, the Chrome 2-factor. I don't remember what the issue was. I think it was an issue with that at one point. So I switched over to SMS. It's a pain in the butt sometimes, but it's working right now. So I'm back at City Hall. I can go back down here to Metaventure applications. Keep in mind, there still is the application for executive statues. Oop-a-doop-a-doop. If you want to do so, you can. Obviously, if you are at the point of being a director or you became a director recently, congratulations. If you haven't applied for your Block Explorer, you can do it at any of these city halls in the game of Upland. Here's a Metaventure application. Again, this is only for Metaventures in the city of Los Angeles. I would have to be in a different city if I wanted to apply for a Metaventure elsewhere. All right, so I have different shops that I could apply. Or I'm sorry, I have different shops that I have in Los Angeles. And here's my shops. Look at this. I've got a Block Explorer shop. Oh, look at that. I've got a Variety Legit shop. Oh, look at that. I've got a showroom here, a car showroom, and I have a structured ornament showroom. Look at that. But I can come and apply for new shops. I do have to read this here as I come in and say there's acknowledgement. Read all the details carefully before applying. Do it. But I'll read them out loud to you. If all eligibility criteria are met, you will have a Metaventure launched. That is a key phrase. Remember how we have this idea of you're applying for a Metaventure? A lot of people have this conversation within themselves, and they've had conversations with each other about ooh, what am I doing applying for this Metaventure? What's my chances? How long is it going to take? The good news is the last Metaventure I applied for took like 1 business day. This is a process that went from taking months to hours. It's real. It's a real thing. It's really a matter of you have some restrictions, or you have some requirements you have to meet to have a certain Metaventure. If you meet all those requirements, you have that Metaventure. And it will be subject to paying monthly dues. Does not apply to factories. Your dues will be payable through the settings starting the month following your shop's launch. That means even if you started like the 20th day in the month, you could have dues on the following first, which could be in a few days. Your shop will automatically be closed if you do not pay your venture dues within 7 days. No moves or transfers of any kind can be made after launching your Metaventure. Hello, Tara. Good to see you. I have to acknowledge and agree to pay the monthly venture dues no later than the 7th to remain active. Again, not for factories. Here we go. And I can go and I pick one of my structures. Here's the thing. I already have all my showrooms that are in LA dedicated to being a showroom. That said, I can't go and select one of them. I have to have a showroom if I want to have a showroom. If I'm looking at applying for a map asset showroom, I have to have the showroom. If I'm going to apply for a car showroom, I have to actually have the showroom built and there in the game, already sitting there ready to go. So I can come grab one of these structures with a caveat that one of these structures is not going to qualify as a showroom. Those are 2 Metaventures that can't be. The other thing is I don't have any factories in LA. I have factories elsewhere. They're just sitting there taking a nap, but I have no factories in LA, so I can't apply for a factory or a factory Metaventure in LA at this time. Easy enough. You have to own the right structure to even start the application process. Let's just say that I'm going to take, it allows me to apply with micros now? Let's just take one of my small townhouses that are sitting here. Please confirm. Yeah, sure, why not? And I can decide what I want to be. Here's a key thing, like I said. Here's all of the things I could apply for. Keep in mind, all of these things I could apply for are going to be restricted to the structure type. So a car showroom, I can't build in that small townhouse. Map asset showroom, can't build in that small townhouse. The structure ornament showroom, obviously, structure ornament showroom. I can't build in that small townhouse. Vehicle factory, aircraft factory. Oh my gosh! To qualify, ooh, aircraft factory. Oh no, Goldie. Oh no, your factory that's sitting there and doing nothing. Oh no. Anyways, we'll get back to that. Map asset factory, structure ornament factory. Again, we do have excuse me, we do have 4 types of factories available now: map asset, vehicle factory, aircraft factory, structure ornament factory. Some requirements for aircraft factory and all of that are forthcoming. So the application's there, but keep in mind that there's some other pieces to the aircraft factory. Even though it's exciting, even though it's kind of cool to see it, there's some other requirements and some time to come on that one. So vehicle factory, again, as I mentioned, requires 5,000 spark, as does aircraft factory. Again, that's that old, you got to have 5 spark if you want to have a manufacturing factory, because they want to make sure you have enough spark to actually manufacture. Map asset factory, 5,000 spark. Structure ornament factory, 5,000 spark. Whatever you want to manufacture, you have to have that 5,000. I say spark, or 3 times there. Sparklet. You have to have 5,000 sparklet if you want to manufacture anything, if you're going to apply. We have some other requirements for these other things as well. So the structure ornament showroom, you have to have 6 structure ornaments to qualify for a structure ornament showroom. You have to have 6 items for map assets. As a car showroom, you have to have at least 3 map assets. Again, a car showroom requires a medium showroom. A map asset showroom requires at least a small showroom. A structure ornament showroom requires a showroom. Yeah. A vehicle factory, again, those are all factories, down all the factories. Again, medium factory for the vehicle factory. Aircraft factory, that's a medium factory. map asset factory. It requires at least a small and a structure ornament factory. We believe was a small last time I checked. Perfect, easy enough. Now let's get to the things that I actually can build, that I actually have the opportunity to put on this structure, the small townhouse. I can do a racing legit shop. I have to have 10 racing legits. I can do a variety legit shop, and this has changed. This has changed. It used to be less. I have to have 20 variety legits to have a variety legit shop. I happen to have just got a variety legit shop recently. That's because we keep having all these burning contests or all these burning features where we burn map assets or we burn variety legits to get something. And those variety legits, those are things like totem potions. Ooh, go look at that. Totem potions are a variety legit. The other cool thing that's a variety legit are those passes. So when we have those opportunities for people to buy passes and sell passes, or people to buy those passes, for example, when we have a city release, which we likely have one not too distant, and then people decide to sell them into UPIX, you need a variety legit shop if you want to do that. Again, Upland sells them only in USD. Some people are not necessarily in the USD mood or in the USD market. They can't put the USD together. It's just not an option for them. But they could pay quite a bit more in UPIX. So you could buy them in USD, put them in your shop, let somebody buy them in UPIX. I'm fine with that. It happens to work. It creates a secondary market, and it lets people do what they want, creating more opportunities for players than Upland itself is able to offer or is choosing to offer at that time. Football fan shop requires 10 items. Again, football being soccer. NFLPA fan shop, 10 items there. Again, NFLPA items. I've got hundreds. NFLPA fan shop. And again, I think I don't have one. And then a Block Explorer shop. Block Explorer shop requires 5 Block Explorers to open a Block Explorer shop. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Now, the question is, how do we apply for these? Pretty similar requirements here for the showrooms when we have these. The other requirement, when we talk about these showrooms, obviously, is you have to have space on that property to take those, whatever it is, map assets or the cars and fit them on that property. I have some structures that take up 90% or 90+% of the lot they're on. So if I were to have a shop, for example, if I were to look up at my a NFLPA shop, that wouldn't matter because the storage of those is just magic. We just say it's inside the shop. It's not on the property. If we're talking about a showroom, then I have to worry about the space that the cars or the map assets are going to take up outside of the structure to be inventory for the shop. But if I'm just looking at these shops, again, all I have in the city are small townhouses or micro homes. With the small townhouses, I could have one of these 5 shops: Block Explorer, NFLPA fan shop, football fan shop, variety legit shop, or a racing legit shop. And I'd choose one of them. Let's just say I choose this Block Explorer shop here. Boom. I have to choose my Metaventure name. Shop. And I'm not going to actually apply with this. We already said that. So this is the shop. Boom. Metaventure shop goes here. This is my Block Explorer shop. Next. So here's the big one. This is the one that a lot of people are afraid of. A lot of people have been afraid of. Yeah, Rock, here we go. I want that aircraft factory now too. And again, you have to be prepared to do all the things, jump through all the hoops, do all of those things, and follow Upland's guidelines while doing so. So keep that in mind when it comes to the aircraft. If we get there for the aircraft, if Upland lets us actually, have our own designs of the aircraft, it may be a little bit of a hoop to jump through. But that said, set that aside. They are open, the application. So I do have to have this art to start with. And part of the difficulty for a lot of people on this art is, the feeling creative and be able to do it. Can I do it myself? You are fully able to, within the license of the AI software, if you're using an AI software, generative art program, or other more expansive AI software that generates images that are going to be able to be used either commercially with commercial license or open license, you could pop that right there. Could be done. Upland doesn't have prohibition against it. It's not technically, I mean, I've got some iffy feelings about a lot of AI art and the way it's used and the way it samples, etc., etc. But that's my personal feelings. But I've used it myself. So, again, conflicted. But you can take that art, pop it right in there, make it relatively easy. And you're going to say, what are my requirements as far as the scaling is concerned? There's two requirements. One that keeps tripping me up all the time, because I go take this and I scale in Canva. Just so you know, Canva makes it easy. Regardless of how I build my image, if it's AI, if I use some other software, I'm actually manipulating, let's say, a photo, and I go and drop it from my editing of my photo. I drop it into Canva. Then I go hit 3 buttons. I happen to already have Canva. Canva is free as well. There is a premium version, there's a free version, but it is a free option out there. There's a lot of softwares where there's a free version and there's a premium version. There's a lot of reasons for saving and transferring and having multiple parties involved why you might want a premium version of some of these software. But some of these software, some of these programs are available as a free version. So if you're just getting involved, if you don't have a lot of money or time to sink into one of these softwares, there are options out there that still could be used by you. So I drop it into Canva, and here are the sizes that I need. I need an 891 by 600 PNG. I need a 1080 by 1920 PNG, and I need a 1920 by 1080 PNG. And if that's all Greek to you, that's okay. Most of these softwares, when you go in there will be a dimensions. You'll have a place where you could scale and drop into what's the scale, what's the resolution of the image that you're going to be having here. And scale is essentially just the size, the way it's cut. A 19 by 20 is wider than it is. Yeah, am I doing it right? Wider than it is tall. And then I come over here, and then the 10 to 80 by 1920 is the vertical one, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And then of course I've got the 891 by the 600. It's kind of a little bit almost square, but a little bit wider than it is tall. Yeah. That makes sense to me. So we will have, we'll have that where you can set those relatively easily. The other thing that trips me up, like I said, on this, and it keeps doing so, is 2 megabytes. It doesn't say 2 megabytes here. It doesn't say, hey, be ready for 2 megabytes. It's 2 megabytes. So what you need to do, depending on the software you're using, depending on the place where you are going to be changing the scaling, you may have to go and you may have to turn around and hit the compress, so it makes it a smaller file size. Make it a smaller file size. We may be reducing the resolution, but keep in mind, it shouldn't be the end of the world. The size of screens people are going to put in these on, generally speaking, they're designed, a lot of the images, for phones. The size that most people are going to be putting these pictures on, it's not going to be an issue to decrease the resolution a little bit. Keep that in mind. Ultimately, if people aren't going zoom, you're going to be able to fit a computer screen on someone's computer screen as large as a computer screen is, and not have any issues with fidelity or image quality if you do compress it a little bit, under 2 megabytes. Easy enough. So when I go through this and I actually go and load this and load this and load this, and I hit the review button, like I said, it's been very, very quick. Different queues, different types of map, or different types of Metaventures, like the map asset shop, or going to factories. Factories a little different. Map asset shop, or map asset showroom, map asset showroom, or the factories. Those might be a different queue than the Block Explorer store. Keep that in mind. But like I said, when I've been applying for these, last few have been almost instant. And when I say almost instant, I mean within a day or two. I consider that I had applied to previous Metaventures and had them sit for months upon months before I got the Metaventure. So it is something that has definitely improved, definitely gotten a lot quicker, and is something that's really accessible and easy to get in. And Trees had said earlier, I'm waiting. Well, I'm going to want to give you a few reasons about the waiting. I definitely understand that. A few ideas of why you want a Metaventure shop, and a few reasons why you may not. the few realities. Not necessarily the don't do it, but things to consider when you're deciding whether or not it's for you. Well, first and foremost, the why now? Why do it now? First of all, if you get your Metaventure shop now, there's things you can do with it minimally. You can get your Metaventure shop started now. I could be doing resale, for example. Map assets would be a good example. If I had a showroom, could have a map asset showroom. I could sell some of the map assets I have now. If I'm working on building a factory, or I applied for and got a factory, but I don't have any map assets approved, or I don't have any started for production, I could still be selling the other map assets I own now, or I've owned for the last couple of years, opportunity to start selling some of my assets I already own. I can also, with the right application and the right friends and the right location, I could also have people try to sub list, or go sub merchant listing into my shop. With sub merchant listing, you do have to go turn sub merchant listing on. You do have to set your fee. Keep in mind that the majority of the shops that are doing sub merchant are selling stuff very, very low. The fees they have out there are very, very low. And secondly, you have to go and approve them all the time. You have to go into your shop. You have to check, did somebody request to list something in your shop? Yes, they did. You could either accept or decline depending on what they're asking to list and what they're asking to list that at. If someone says, ooh, I have this thing, I want to put it in your shop, I want to charge $1 million. If they say they want to charge you $1 million for that thing that you don't think is worth $1 million, and you got space in your shop, but not a lot of it, maybe the $1 million Block Explorer is something you don't want to put in your shop, and you say politely, no, thank you. And then you go about your merry way. Or maybe someone puts a bunch of things in there and they're not yours, and it's pretty easy. You don't put a lot of work into it. You say yes. They sell, and you get your 1 or 2%. You're very, very limited, very, very, very limited share of that, but you do get something for facilitating that sale and having that shop. So that's one reason to have that shop and to do it now. And even if you think I'm holding on to it till later, the other reasons obviously is people like to have shops. And again, this is for me. I've done this myself. I've kind of moved into the idea of having a broad variety of Metaventures for myself, because if I have a map asset shop and I have a few map assets I want to sell because there's a burning sale, or there's a collect and earn leaderboard, some type of reason to sell or buy map assets at a specific time, I'm going to have to travel to somebody's shop, click on their shop, go in and essentially say, oh, I want to go sublist. Oh, I can't sublist. I can't sublist map assets yet. Maybe in the future. I can't do that right now. Same thing with cars. I can't go and sublist in somebody else's showroom. That doesn't exist right now for any asset that does take up space, that does have to get dropped in the property. You have to have your own Metaventure. You have to have your own showroom to do so. So there's one reason. If I want to sell map assets, I have to have that property myself. Even if I'm not selling anything today, but I want to be ready to sell something if there is an event in the future. I want to have that variety, so I have that opportunity where I don't have the opportunity of sublisting. And on the same note of the sublisting, there are certain things you can list sublisting that they do continue to exist. They started out with block explorers. It continues to exist with things like NFLPA, with football, with Variety Legit. You can go and sublist in other people's shops. But if you have your own shop, here's your advantage. I don't have to get in a plane and fly across the map every time I want to list. I click on my own shop, I go to my own inventory, and I get it listed. It's that simple. Right now, cars are locked by city. Map assets are not locked by city. So I can magic in some map assets from any property that I have into my shop to sell them. I cannot magic in a car. I have to drive a car from city to city to get that into a different city. If it's in the city but on a different property, I can magic that into that property, which is nice. And then I can have that shop up and running with the ability to go and sell that. But again, that idea that I am going to be ready to list my own item without having to travel. That's important. If I'm talking about my, block explorer shops, especially, I won't have to travel across the map to list it. They don't take up any physical space. They're pretty easy to do that. And Tree said, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, the idea of just having an opportunity to save yourself the flight between two cities to list something, or the fact that you are in a city. Maybe you look at what city is, and you're in Lucille, and you're like, ooh, maybe it's not worth listing my stuff in Lucille. Now you have to travel to go and list it, or you really want to sell all your stuff in San Francisco because you think San Francisco is the right market for NFLPA stuff. Guess what? Make your own shop there. That'll save you from having to travel back and forth to San Francisco every time you want to sell NFLPA stuff. You don't have to travel. You just click on your shop, you go and you list the stuff you want to do, and you don't have to move between the cities. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of that advantage that's there. And the big advantage, if you ask me, with sub-listing, and I love sub-listing, it's super cheap. I think that when it first happened, I got frustrated. I was like, wow, these people are going to put stuff in their shop and take up room in their shop, and they're going to have to potentially promote things if they want things to sell. Not many shops do too much promoting on sub-listing stuff, but maybe they did. Maybe they did a bunch of promoting on the sub-listing stuff, and then they get a couple percentage of that actual item itself. I was like, ooh, a little salty about that when that went up. Like, that now that it exists, it's an easy market. It's easy to click the button and have that listed up in your shop. Hopefully, at this point, people understand if you're throwing stuff, these offers into people's shops to have them list it, they may not be on in 2 hours. And if they're not in 2 hours, they're not going to list it. So that's what we want to keep that in mind. And again, here, Trees, and here, everybody, why apply for a Metaventure shop? It's something to do with all those structures you have, Trees. It's one thing you can do with your structures at this point. It's one utility for your structures. So, yay. Apart from putting an ornament on a structure, it is really the reason to have a structure in the game of Upland is in order to have a NFLPA or a BE shop or a football fan shop or a variety legit shop. And like I said, the variety legit shop I love that because we keep having things that are variety legits that have to be burnt for a contest or have to be burnt for a leaderboard or have to be burnt to redeem, like the cosmetics passes. These cosmetic season passes are sold only in USD. There is demand for them. There's quite a bit of demand for them on the UPX market. You buy one in USD, you put it in your own shop in UPX. Somebody can come and buy it. Somebody tells you, hey, buddy, I would really like one of those passes, but I don't have the USD right now. You say, okay, what do you have for UPX? And then you go and list it. And here's the fun bit. We haven't even gotten here yet. There's this feature that allows you to reserve an item for a specific party. So now that the guy came to you saying, hey, buddy, could you go and get me this thing and put it in your shop so I can go pick it up? You have a way of helping out your friends. You have a way of rewarding people who did things for you in Upland. You have a way of giving out prizes. If you have a stream you do, or a weekly wheel draw, or some other form of interacting with the community, and you want to have a place where you can put a prize where Jimmy or Susie or Pete can travel in and pick it up at their leisure, you can put it in your Metaventure. You have to have the right Metaventure, of course. Put it in your Metaventure, reserve it for the party, put a limited amount of UPX on there, let them travel, let them pick it up. Or you can do that at a full priced item. Maybe you have a limited release item and your friend Tito likes the number 13, and you can get Tito the number 13, whatever the map pass is, reserve for Tito, have him come at his leisure, get 13 at the mint price that everyone else is paying, but that's his mint. That's the mint he wants. So it could be held aside for him. So that's, again, another reason. It's just a way of interacting with the community in a different way. Again, it's this trustless sale where you don't have to be like, ooh, is Tim going to remember to send me some money? Well, you don't have to worry about Tim's bad memory because when Tim goes to buy the item, he's also sending you the UPX. He's also sending the USD, whatever it is, the USD or UPX. He's sending you the funds as you send him the asset. And the greatest thing, I think the greatest thing in Upland is we have people all over the place. And I think the community, I think the people makes the game rich and wonderful. And I think it is the future of the game of Upland that we don't just have 50,000 people in Milwaukee who play this game. Or we don't just have 1 million people in California who play this game. All the people all over the world makes the game wonderful. And because I've got my shop, I could put that in there and they can pick it up on their time zone. And I don't have to coordinate here and there, and I don't have to send 14 messages. I just have to say it's in my shop, pick it up when you want to. 5 days later, it comes and picks it up at midnight. I don't have to press any special buttons. I've already listed it once. They just have to hit the buy. The UPX changes hands. The asset changes hands, and it's trust-free. There's no worries. There's no concerns. There's no did it happen, did it not. So pretty simple, pretty easy. And the greatest thing, one of the greatest things about the shops, reason to apply now trees. Why apply now? People ask. I've been waiting. Is it time? It's time. It's time because it actually works. When I say it actually works, I mean, there was iterations. There was times where stuff was getting caught and people were hitting buttons and it was saying, try again later. That asset didn't work. Oh, try again later. Or someone coming to buy something. And even though it was sitting there and on sale, they hit the buy button. And then it sits reserved for them for a long period of time before it actually changes. A lot of those have been cleared, or as far as I'm concerned, all of those. I don't see those as things that are constantly or considerably happening any longer. So it is a good time now because it actually works and it works well. Sublisting works and sublisting works well with a limitation that it does not extend to assets that have to be placed onto the showroom property. Okay. And finally, what do you do with your shop now that you have it? If you get your shop, you decide to apply. What do you do for your shop? Well, first and foremost, obviously, you hopefully picked an image that you thought was compelling, interesting, and was going to stand out on the map and be something that people know you for. You're going to make a compelling argument in that little description about what your shop is. And honestly, I just play games with it. I have a little fun. Welcome to my shop. Come sit down, have a little fun. But be honest with it. Do you specialize in the rare, hard to finds? Do you try to specialize in early mints, first mint? The first mint, the closer, the splitter. Is that what you're trying to specialize in? Are you trying to get the old stuff, the new stuff, or is it all a variety of those things? You can put all that description in there so when people get to your shop and see that, they can know what to look for in that shop. Obviously people have some tools that can, if they're looking for a specific asset, they can see the pricing and the low price and the high price. And the way you price your items is going to attract people to your shop. But then you have this other idea of how do you promote your shop? Because you can promote your shop. You can have a Discord group where you send out and show people the new items coming into your shop, especially if you have map assets, right? If you have map assets, as you are getting new map assets, you can promote them in your show, in your Discord group. People can see them. People know what's in your showroom. You can tell people that's coming up. You can set up contests for people to win them. You can do all of those things. So it's nice to have that Discord group or build one. It's nice to start with a community that you're already working with and knowing what they want. If people are looking for a certain type of map assets, maybe that's what you try to go and build. And then of course, the other bit of that, the other bit of the, working with a community or having that community is if you have a community that you are trying to work with and you're trying to serve, like a node, for example, you can build stuff just for them. You're not marketing to sell in a broad way and hope that I get one piece by one piece sold. You can just come to everyone and coordinate. Hey, everybody, I've got some people who I work with who do just this. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for being part of the XYZ node. This Tuesday, I've reserved everybody who has a Residents in the XYZ node as of Tuesday the 3rd. I just made up the date. I don't know when the next Tuesday the 3rd is. Tuesday the 3rd, we did a snapshot. You're going to be getting this map asset reserved for you. It's 1 UPX. Come to the shop, pick it up. So it's really cool stuff. It's really cool to have that shop where you could do a variety of things with it. You could build your community. You can use it to try to sell for a profit. You can have it there sitting mostly empty when you choose to get something listed for a specific contest. It's there. Now, we got to have the flip side. We got to flip that coin and say, maybe, just maybe, this isn't for me. Well, I'll tell you why it's not for you, or why it could be something that's not for you. Because we do have a cost and a benefit. The cost is venture dues. And here's the thing about venture dues. They're very variable. A lot of venture dues, a lot of cities, it's actually 0 UPX month after month. And what 0 UPX means is that there are a number of shops. Typically, one city to the next, it can vary, but let's say there's 200. No, that's crazy. Let's say there's 20. Let's say there's 20 Block Explorer shops in your little city. And 15 of them sell crap. Nothing. Little goose egg. And the other 5 do really, really well. Well, the way they calculate, or the way Upland calculates the venture dues, there's this formula where they say that, the number they expect to be the maximum number or the ultimate number in the city. And that ultimate number in the city, that's going to be the max scale. If you exceed it, there is a penalty where there's going to be an applied penalty, a coefficient that multiplies by the percentage rate, which is going to affect how you get charged. Essentially, they look at the number of sales or the amount of sales, the volume of sales of the median. That's not the highest. That's not the lowest. That's not the middle, or the average, I should say. That's not the mean. You don't add them all together and divide by the number of shops. You say there's 15 shops. The lowest is 0. The highest is 50 million. But the 10th or the 11th, 10th and a half, there we go. The 10th and a half shop, 0. Or the average of the 10th and the 11th, goose egg. Guess what? Goose egg. And again, the more crowded, we have too many shops, we actually have that percentage increase the amount, the percentage of the overall sales that gets charged, or the overall fees, or say the overall fees, the percentage of those fees, overall fees that gets charged to the Metaventures to stay open. They all get charged the same amount in the same city of the same type. That amount that gets charged is going to increase if it's overly funded or overly filled. And if it's underfilled, if there's not enough shops per Upland of that type in that city to fill that city out, then there's going to be a little bit of a decrease in the fees. Again, encouraging people to get into that city to have the whatever shop needs to be filled. But again, in many, many cities, the median basis, there's too many zeros, not enough winners. I sell stuff at a lot of my shops and I'm pretty happy with them, and I don't pay fees. But if there's shops that are really successful, if over half the shops sell stuff, you probably will have a Metaventure due. And the Metaventure due is going to typically be calculated towards the end of a month. You're going to get a notification what it is within the first 7 days. You're going to have to make that payment. If you don't, your shop is going to go inactive. It's not going to be running anymore. Keep that in mind. So you're going to have to pay the Metaventure dues. You don't know what they're going to be. They tend to be relatively low. They often are 0 in many cities. But if you're in a city that is doing well, that's selling lots of stuff, and everybody's selling lots of stuff, and they have a really good month, and you do not have a really good month, maybe you sell nothing, maybe you're the 0 that month. It happens. It depends on what you list. Depends on what's for sale. Depends on what your activities and your efforts are to advertise, and maybe you just sell your stuff for too much and nobody wants to pay the too much money you want for it. Again, the 1 million UPX for a little Block Explorer, that may not be a selling Block Explorer. So you end up selling nothing, and you end up having to pay a venture due of 22,000 UPX. And that's an extreme number. That's not the average number. We're talking about 32 UPX is what I paid some months. I've seen months that paying what they are, 5,000-6,000 UPX. It does happen. So if you're paying 5,000-6,000 UPX to have a shop open, You sold absolutely nothing. It gets you to the next month, and it costs you $5,000. That's a monthly cost of $5,000 that you don't have to pay if you don't have the shop. At the same time, is it worth having this shop for $5,000? If it's $0, it's really hard to say that's not worth it. But if it's $5,000, is it worth you having the shop open? That opportunity to list stuff in there. If something comes up, a new contest, and you want to list something quickly, you already had the shop set up. If you have things priced just above the market and they sit there month after month, and finally the market catches up with you and a bunch of those things sell and you have a really great month in your shop, is that worth the waiting for 5,000 OPEX a month, or maybe less, or maybe more? There's no guarantees. It depends on the sales. It depends on the number of shops overall in the city and how many zeros get hit, how many people sell nothing. Keep that in mind, but it's up to you and your decision. Trees, I want to do, we want to do so much. Really getting in there, getting motivated, absolutely. And I hear that they're building the structures. What are they there for? I'm building those structures just for fun, and now I have something to do with them. Because I know there's a lot of people who felt that way. Why? A Metaventure is the best thing to do. And you don't have to have 3 Block Explorer shops in a single city. I've got no reason why I would want to have 3 Block Explorer shops in a single city. Maybe having multiple Block Explorer shops, one in one city, one in another, if I really want to sell out of that other city, possible. Because keep in mind, your clientele, the people buying from you, they have to travel to your shop in order to purchase. Even though I can list magically, I don't have to actually travel to the shop to touch the button to list my own assets. I just, shake my fingers and magically the thing gets listed in the right city. Even though that's the case, whenever anyone comes to purchase, they do have to travel in. So maybe I think that I can sell a bunch in Manhattan. I can sell a bunch in San Francisco. I have one in each location. I kind of curtail what Block Explorers I sell over here versus what Block Explorers I sell over here based on who I think is going to be in the area. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Hard telling, not knowing. That's the one. Hard telling, not knowing what the market's going to call for in one city versus the other. So I hope I gave you something to think about. I hope I inspired you, Trees. I'm glad you. It seems I did. I hope I inspired you to consider having a Metaventure. And the reality is, it's not as hard as one would think. It's in history. It's not always that expensive for the venture dues. They could get expensive depending on the city, depending on what other people are selling. People who sold a lot more than you could be affecting what your Metaventure dues are, because everybody in the same city, in the same business, who has the same type of Metaventure, they're going to pay the same venture due each month. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And if you are in a position where you are hitting that roadblock still, you don't want to use AR, or you're still having issues with AIR, or you're in the position where you want to have one of those factories and you don't have art handy, reach out to somebody. There's lots of people who are doing the art for these. If you want some AIR, but you really don't have $5 a month to pay for one of these services, there's some free ones out there as well. Or you don't want to learn how the AI tools work, there are people who might even make you AIR as well. Maybe there's a fee, maybe there's a handshake, maybe you're really good friends. I don't know. But just reach out to somebody, because some of these skills, even though they're ones you don't have, they're not inaccessible. We're talking about a low bar of entry to put together a Metaventure right now. Pretty easy to do. Just know that the Metaventure due is your cost on the backside. So thank you so much for being here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. I'm going to try to do this. I do try to do this when we don't have anything really important in Upland to talk about, to go over a important topic that hopefully is going to help expand your knowledge, give you some other ideas, and make it easier for you to play the game. So again, thank you so much for being here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. See you again tomorrow, maybe a little late after the UPX podcast. And of course, if you are in the Upland Cafe Discord, feel free to unmute your mic. The floor is yours.